You know they weren't good to you. You can list the reasons. You can recite them like a memorized fact. And yet, some nights you still miss them. Not the good version of them. Not some fantasy you made up. You miss the actual person, the one who hurt you, the one you swore you were relieved to be free of. That's the confusing part. If they were bad for you, why does missing them feel so real? The easy answer is that you're just weak or nostalgic or not over it yet. But the real reason has almost nothing to do with how good the relationship was. It has to do with how your brain decides who counts as safe. Picture your ancestors again, not choosing relationships based on happiness, choosing them based on survival. A bond with another person, any bond, meant protection, food, warning of danger, a body next to yours in the cold. Being connected to someone was not a luxury, it was oxygen. Here's the strange part. Your ancestors' brains didn't evolve a system that asked, is this person kind to me? They evolved a system that asked, is this person attached to me? Those are two completely different questions, and your brain still confuses them today. The psychologist John Bowlby spent decades studying this, and what he found was blunt. Children don't attach to caregivers because the caregivers are gentle. They attach because the caregiver is there. Even children with harsh, inconsistent, or frightening caregivers still form deep, desperate attachments to them. Not despite the harshness, sometimes because of it. Why would that be useful? Because in the ancestral world, a child alone had almost no chance. A child attached to even a flawed caregiver had a chance. So evolution built the bonding system to prioritize presence over kindness. Consistency mattered less than connection. Reliability mattered less than not being alone. Now bring that forward into adulthood and into a relationship with someone who was warm sometimes and cold other times, kind sometimes and cruel other times. Here's the part your brain is not telling you. That unpredictability didn't weaken the bond. It strengthened it. There's a principle in behavioral psychology called variable reward. When a reward comes every single time, your brain treats it as expected. Boring. Predictable. But when a reward comes sometimes unpredictably, after effort or waiting, your brain treats it as something worth chasing. This is the exact mechanism behind slot machines. Not the size of the win, the uncertainty of it. A person who was warm every single day would have given your brain a stable, predictable signal. Nice but forgettable. A person who was warm sometimes and distant other times gave your brain something far more powerful. Intermittent proof that the connection was real, mixed with just enough absence to make you chase it. You weren't chasing them because they were good to you. You were chasing the moments they were good to you, which is a very different thing, and your brain never learned to tell the difference. This is why the good memories feel louder than the bad ones, even when the bad ones were more frequent. The rare warm moment got flagged as a reward. Rewards get remembered vividly because your ancestral brain needed to know exactly what worked, so it could try to get it again. Meanwhile, the cruelty, the coldness, the moments that hurt, those get stored too, but they don't create longing. They create fear, and fear fades faster than craving does, especially once the person is gone and the fear has nothing left to respond to. So what's left, months later, is a strange asymmetry. The bad moments quiet down. The good moments, the rare ones, the ones you had to work for, stay lit up like a signal you're still trying to reach. This is also why missing someone who hurt you can feel disturbingly similar to withdrawal, because in a chemical sense, it is. Relationships with inconsistent affection create the same dopamine patterns as gambling, or checking your phone, or any behavior driven by unpredictable reward. Your brain isn't grieving the relationship. It's grieving the uncertainty. It's craving the next unpredictable hit of approval that isn't coming anymore. Once you see it this way, the whole thing stops looking like weakness and starts looking like wiring. You didn't miss them because you have bad judgment. You miss them because your ancestral bonding system cannot tell the difference between a person who is unpredictable because they love you and a person who is unpredictable because they don't know how to be consistent. Presence to that system still counts as safety, even when it shouldn't. So what do you do with a brain like this? You don't try to convince yourself the missing isn't real. It is real. It's just not about them anymore. It's about the pattern your nervous system got used to responding to, the variable reward, not the person delivering it. Knowing that changes what the craving means. It stops being proof you still need them and starts being evidence that your brain formed a habit around inconsistency, the same way it would form a habit around any unpredictable reward. Habits like that fade with distance and time, not with reasoning. You know they weren't good to you. That fact was never in question. What you were missing wasn't them. It was the uncertainty they trained your brain to chase.